Delphi murder update. Normal murder charges not filed against Richard Allen. Richard Allen has been charged with 2 counts of murder from the 2017 death of 2 young girls, but he has not been charged with normal murder. When we think of murder in Indiana, we normally think of the following as laid out in Indiana law. A person who knowingly or intentionally kills another human being commits murder, a felony. This is what I would call normal murder. And I want everyone to know, I feel terrible saying normal murder. Murder is horrible and the absolute worst crime capable of being committed. Normal murder is what I would call Section 1 murder. This is not what Richard Allen is charged with. Richard Allen is charged with Section 2 murder, which is commonly known as felony murder here in Indiana. Now, how do I know this? Well, as of today, everything is still under seal. But because I'm constantly dealing with Indiana courts in my role as a criminal defense attorney, I can see some online clues. First off, while I cannot see the charging information, I can see the short and sweet version of the charges on mycase.in.gov, which is Indiana's online court database. Now, the charges say 2 counts of murder, but as you can see here, the statute referenced in the charges are the Section 2 murder or felony murder. Richard Allen is being charged under Section 2 of the murder statute, which reads as follows: a person who kills another human being while committing or attempting to commit arson, burglary. You know what? I'm not going to read all of these because some of these are pretty terrible. You can read them for yourself right here. This is commonly referred to as felony murder. Now, what is felony murder? Indiana recognizes that some felonies, such as the ones listed here, are so dangerous that a person dying is an inherent risk of committing that felony. And if a person dies while you're committing these felonies, guess what? You are now facing a murder charge, even if you did not intend for anyone to die. Let's give some examples to help break it down. If you kidnap someone and that person escapes by running out into the street and is hit and killed by a car because they're blindly running from kidnappers, well, you might not have meant for that person to die, but kidnapping is so dangerous that someone dying is a significant possibility. Even though you only wanted to kidnap, you are now on the hook for murder because the kidnapping victim is now dead. Same deal with bank robbery. If you are the getaway driver for an armed bank robbers and the armed bank robbers start shooting and someone dies, even if shooting was not part of the plan, even though the getaway driver did not have a gun, the getaway driver is now on the hook for murder. And that is because armed robbery is such an inherently dangerous crime, it is a distinct possibility someone might die. So that is felony murder, which is exactly what the online records indicate Richard Allen is being charged with. Now, the online records do not always match the official charging information, but in my experience as an Indiana criminal defense attorney, they match 99.9% of the time. But here's where it gets interesting. If Richard Allen killed the victims while committing any of these crimes, the prosecutor would likely just charge old-fashioned knowing or intentional Section 1 murder. Why? Because normal murder is easier to prove. Did you kill somebody? Yes. Okay, that's murder. But they didn't charge him with that. They charged him with felony murder. This makes more work for the prosecutor's office because now they have to show the victims died while Richard Allen was committing one of these listed felonies. And while there are some great prosecutors in Indiana, I'm going to tell you a universal truth. Prosecutors never go out of their way to do extra work. And felony murder, well, it's going to be extra work for these prosecutors. So why would they charge Richard Allen with felony murder? Because everything is still sealed, we don't exactly know. But based on my nearly 17 years as a criminal defense attorney in the state of Indiana, I have a theory. I do not think Richard Allen is the one that actually murdered these victims. I think the evidence is going to show that he was involved in one of these listed felonies and the victims ended up dying. I think the death of the victims was likely at the hands of another person that has not been named by police. Now, this is pure speculation because, again, everything is sealed, including the probable cause affidavit and the charging information. And I want to just add, that's very unusual in this state. But this theory makes sense, especially considering the prosecutor wanted the case sealed. The investigators are likely watching this unnamed party to see how he's reacting after seeing Richard Allen being arrested. And possibly by arresting Richard Allen and putting him in jail, they're trying to put Richard Allen in a position where he's more forthcoming with investigators to name names and co-conspirators. The bottom line, by filing felony murder against Richard Allen, the prosecutors made more work for themselves. There has to be a reason for that. And I believe the reason is that Richard Allen is not the main person in this case. Because this case remains sealed, all of this is speculation and theory. And it is important to remember, Richard Allen is innocent until and unless found guilty in a court of law. you have any questions, leave me a comment below. And most importantly, remember, always play the